What's up, party people? Happy Tuesday, Taco Tuesday. I'm going to have some tacos in a minute. Just want to do a couple quick things here tonight and just run around. Holidays, that kind of stuff. Everybody take a deep breath. Remember, we're all in this together. And want to talk about, first and foremost, the affordability thing. I've been saying this for a while, and I get a lot of pushback from some people who out there who love Trump, right? And Trump could do no wrong. He walks on water and all this stuff. We all know that's not true. Human beings, right? I screw stuff up all the time. I'm a human being. I would expect that. But in the little thumbnail there, what does it say? It says, can't afford. Trump cannot afford to mess up this message, right? Susie Wiles, that's the lady that's kind of behind him, if you will, the one that's supposed to be kind of the Trump whisperer. She has been very open. She was on a podcast saying, look, he don't know what's coming next year, but he going to be out on the campaign trail. Absolutely, he's going to be out on the campaign trail. He has no choice. He's on the ballot, so he better figure out how he can actually capitalize on him being on the ballot. And I say that because it is about the economy, right? And the messaging has to be, first and foremost, people are willing to stick with you, right? Like if shit goes sideways and you're honest with them, okay. People will even buy into whatever you're selling if they want to believe it, right? Like they want something to be awful and bad. My uncle and I was just arguing earlier today about, well, they want this and they want that. And I'm just like, none of that's real. It's not real. They want you to see that. That's the fight that was going on. Because he wants it to be true. Here's where that stops. When the real shit matters. So when you go to your bank, right? And you're going, hey, wait a minute here. I don't have enough to cover everything. Oh my God. And then you hear him go, it's a hoax. It's all a hoax. Everything's a hoax. Can't believe how hoaxy it is. That pisses people off. It does. The second thing is, I used to have an old boss when I worked for Talk Radio UK in England. And he was great. You say, don't bring me problems, bring me solutions. That's what people want. You were supposed to be the solution to what happened under Biden, the rampant inflation and the frustration that people had of the expense of the wages not keeping up anywhere near where they should have kept up to when it came to inflation and the frustration that people had. And what you're saying now is almost a year into it, no, it's still his fault. Again, this is not about fault. This is about what are you going to do to fix the problem. That's why you need to go out and message in a better way. You need to message in a better way, and you need to speak to people in a way that they're, hey, look, this isn't going to be easy, right? You didn't wake up, like I didn't wake up 30 pounds heavier than I was when I was in Arizona. Now, over the last year or so, not working out, eating like crap, working a lot again when I had 6 months or a year where I was doing all kinds of just relaxation things and working out on top of just 1.5 shows instead of all the shows I do now. Well, I realized, okay, I got to get my act together. That's not going to happen overnight. It's the same thing with inflation. I've got to chip away at inflation the best that I can. And I also have to figure out how we supercharge the economy in such a way that your wages start to come up. Right. So it's not only am I, think about this in the context of losing weight. Not only are you losing weight, right? So you want to lose weight. That doesn't start at the gym. That starts at the kitchen. And if you want to look fit, that starts at the gym. You got to do both of those together. That's what Trump has to do. You've got to message better. Because next year is going to be about the economy. We can sit here and talk about all the other crap that's out there, right? And it's illegal immigration. People aren't worried about illegal immigration anymore. That has stopped, right? We know what's going on at the border. So that's stopped. Okay? So as far as getting people out here, first of all, there's not enough money, right? You don't have enough judges. You don't have enough people out there. They're having a tough time hiring. I've seen some of the hires. So it's not ICE's fault, but the reality is there's only so much they can do. And a lot of people out there thought, hey, you said you were going to get rid of not the lady down the street that makes tamales, especially at Christmas, but the bad guys. We want you to get rid of the bad guys. And not everybody wants to see how the sausage is made. But it's still always about the economy. It's going to be the number one thing about the economy. You have to address it in such a way where you are honest with the people. But if you keep deflecting blame and you keep lying to the people and you keep, blaming it on it was this or was that, no, don't bring the problem. Bring me the solution. It's the same thing with healthcare. The other thing I want to talk about tonight, healthcare. Okay, Obamacare sucks. We all get that. But you know what? It's more popular than it's been in a while. Why is that? Because people are worried they're going to lose it. They're worried they're going to lose it. And here's a perfect example of the frustration that people have with Republicans. For years, they're like, we've got a plan. It's a great plan. Best plan you've ever seen. So amazing. We can't even tell you about it because you guys might steal the plan. And then we don't want you to steal the plan. Well, Thursday, they're going to vote. Chances of it, getting across the line, slim to none. I think a year, of the kicking the subsidies out another year where they try to figure something out. Maybe some, but the reality is if they don't fix this and they don't do something about it and they just allow them to expire with nothing behind it, then what do you have? People aren't going to say, oh, well, this is all the Democrats' fault. They're going to say, maybe it was the Democrats' fault back then, but you were the ones setting that plan and you're in charge. So why didn't you do something about it? What's the plan? The plan should be simply, look, we're going to extend these credits 1 year, and we are going to come up with a comprehensive, bipartisan way that we're going to make healthcare more affordable, but better yet, how we get you closer to your doctor and your healthcare provider to get the things that you need, as opposed to what we already have, which is a nightmare system that is convoluted and confusing, and nobody really knows what the hell's going on. I mean, it is so confusing and so frustrating. But if you allow it to go, and then you see millions of people say, well, I'm just going to roll the dice, and you see a bunch of people say, hey, it's getting out of control cost-wise, even amongst our companies, because now you're seeing all these people leave, and now you're going to find a nightmare at the ballot box. A nightmare at the ballot box. Yes, Obamacare, first of all, who lets the insurance companies design something like this and not think they're going to prosper off of it? Who lets that happen? Well, the Democrats did. And they both, by the way, both sides are happy taking money from anybody who's willing to give it, right? Like, if you're willing to give it, they're willing to take it. And both sides have taken all the time from all kinds of shit. And they're willing to do it again. So this is also an issue. Affordability goes along with the healthcare issue. So if you're in a position next year where maybe the economy is slowing down and your message is still it's a hoax, you're in trouble. If you're in the middle of the next year and people are just rolling the dice when it comes to healthcare and the economy is still struggling, you're screwed. You fix healthcare, you win for quite a long time. And again, it's not going to be perfect. That's the other thing. We want all or nothing. It's not. Compromise is what we're going to have. Compromise is what we're going to have. And we're going to have some. We're going to have some give. We're going to have some take. That's just, unfortunately, for some people out there, they don't like that. But we need to figure out how we're going to start moving this country forward in a way that benefits us, the people. And what I hear a lot of times is, well, when it comes to healthcare, don't worry. We got a plan. Okay, what's your plan? More competition. Well, that's not going to happen. Too many monopolies, too many companies that have bought up everything, have all the contracts, own all the hospitals, and nobody's going to go across the state. That's been there for a while, by the way. You can go across state lines in several states and try to shop around, and no taker from state to state has allowed, yeah, we should totally do that. So don't let that be one of those things they say, unless they're going to do something crazy, which I don't think in the next few days they're going to. So Republicans, this is not like, because, everybody's like, you're a Grinch when it comes to Trump. No, what I am is honest, and I want to have an honest conversation. If he does well, I say he does well. If he does shitty, I'm going to say he does shitty. Don't you want that from people? Or are we past that now? We're like, no, you only have to have firm why beliefs or not. I don't do that. But you have to figure out a way to address the issues that matter to the average person. The kitchen table issues. Because kitchen table, man, that's the shit that works. Because that's what people really care about. Affordability is a big deal. Why is it a big deal? Because black, white, gay, straight, purple, tall, short, fat, right? Whether you're a man, a woman, a they, a them, the economy matters. And it affects all of us. It affects every one of us. And when you're going and seeing that GoFundMe has seen a massive uptick in people asking for people to help them make ends meet, that should be like, oh, we better do something. I think we better do something because I don't think they're fucking around. I think they're serious. We could be in some trouble. You're going to see my prediction, according to a few of the Congress people I've been texting with and a senator, that you're going to see some. You're already, what are we at? 15 to 20 retirements? I'm not quite sure exactly. A lot of people hinting around. I wouldn't be surprised by the end of January, after they come back from their recess or whatever it is they're taking again, that you see a decent amount of people, up to 40 or 50 on the Republican side, bow out. And that's a big deal. There's a big deal. Luckily for the Republicans, when it came to a Senate seat that they thought maybe they could get with James Talarico in Texas, Jasmine Crockett threw her hat in the ring. And so that's a win for the Republicans. So she is the hilarious thing about that, her joining it, which I was laughing my ass off. If you go and look at, because the primaries, and we'll get into this a little bit more tomorrow, but primaries matter more than the actual general, the way that everything is structured now. I think it's been 30 plus years since Democrats won a statewide election in Texas. And the person that you had, James Talarico, who is more of a, I must say moderate, just think more common sense Democrat. He polls way better positively across a large swath of people in Texas. Even people on the right are like, yeah, he's okay. Positive, like 40+% compared to his negative. She, on the other hand, is -8. Old Jasmine Crockett there. But when it comes to likely Democrat voters in a primary, she holds a lead on him, which is insane. So if you're going to have this many retirements, luckily you got something there, but you've got to recognize you don't want to lose the House and you can't lose the Senate. Because if Trump's worried about being a lame duck, even if he holds on to both because of only 2 years left, imagine if it's nothing but investigation after investigation, issue after issue, and we come to a standstill and it's just fight after fight. The American people deserve better. And finally tonight, Australia. G'day there, my friends down under. The battle of social media in Australia. So under 16, banned from social media. How about this? Most people banned from social media, regardless of age. I think 16, look, it's a bit old. I think at 13, I get 16, first, let's also remember this. We want all of these companies to be all things. And at the same time, we expect them to be perfect. And they're not. Okay. Secondly, parents, you need to know what's going on with your kids. You need to have conversations. That's a big deal. The other issue is kids are smart. You don't think they're going to figure a way around these? I think they will. Now, this is going back and forth into court. It's an interesting thing. Do I understand why? Yeah, you've got there's a loneliness epidemic. There's this, there's that. There's a lot that goes into a lot of the things we see. And remember, what you see on TV, what you see, pushed all over on the interwebs is meant to get an emotion out of you. It's meant to think that, that everybody is like this, when in reality it's not, right? It's meant to evoke an emotion. We've talked about that. But yeah, I mean, I look at social media. I always say this: if I wasn't in this gig, right? If I wasn't doing my radio show and wasn't, would I do social media? I might have one to talk to my friends, and just one. But outside of that, no, because it's chaos and craziness. It is, and it's frustrating. And it shouldn't be, but the algorithms win the day, and they decide based on our appetite what goes on, and they realize that chaos, craziness, anger, hate sells a lot better than common sense, nuance, conversation, which sucks, but it's reality. And I understand what Australia is trying to do. I'd like to see it for a lot of people out there. Maybe we should make people take a test now to get on the old internet or to get on social media. Are you crazy? Do you react to stuff in such a way that you're like, what are you talking about? Maybe you should be on the internet. Maybe 13 is a little too old. I mean, 16 is a little too old, maybe 13. But that being said, you and I both know kids understand how to get around these things, and they're going to do it. They will. It'll be interesting to see how do you uphold something where a kid is smart enough to figure out through a VPN and several other ways how to get around this social media ban and then onto your platforms. And then when they do, you get in trouble for it as if you did that. How do you even enforce that? No matter how hard you try. So this is going to be an experiment for sure. Down under. Jeffrey's all the kids love it. The kids do love it. And most of the kids are fine. Most of the kids are fine. We always act like, well, it's like when I was a kid growing up. Right? Everybody thought that, you go and you'd watch television and you're like, oh, sure what happened to the Different Strokes kids, like Dana Plato and them. Yeah, I'm like, that's because of Hollywood, really? Because I'm at a school and we got all kinds of fuck ups here, and Hollywood's nowhere to be found. It's not just Hollywood, it's not just the internet, but most kids are fine. Most kids are. But that has to also do with parenting. And we have allowed kids to get on the internet, play all day. We've allowed it to be a babysitter. I've been guilty of it myself. And we've neglected a bit of our problems. So that's something we should be looking at as well. You guys have a blessed and amazing night. We'll be back tomorrow. I got some interesting stuff tomorrow about ICE. I was talking to my uncle about this earlier. We got into this. Very interesting about ICE. And I'm going to throw something out there. A question that I think will be very interesting. We're also going to talk about that tomorrow on the radio. 6 to 9 Pacific, 9 to noon Eastern. Go to ChadBensonShow.com. Check it out. And tomorrow, we're going to start our countdown of the 5 worst Christmas songs of all time. Plus, I'm going to start breaking down Hallmark movies. I love the Hallmark movies. I do. I love them. They're stupid. They're crazy. They're formulaic. And yet, at the same time, they make my heart smile. And I think that's a good thing. Have a good rest of your evening. We'll do it again tomorrow. As always,